Hello, and welcome to another week of the Abuse Cartoons live stream. There we go. So things look a little slow on the PC today, so hopefully that doesn't delay. Yeah, I think we're doing okay. Delay the drawing too much. Yeah, so we are back, and it is not quite spring. I don't know if you can see out the back window, just kind of hazy and cold. So they were anticipating an early cherry blossoms and everything getting started a little earlier this year, and it's not happening here. It may be better in on the Tokyo side of the country, but yeah, it's a slow start. We just had some of the early stuff opening up so far, but it's coming. Yeah, that's the thing that's very tricky. Whoa, it's very tricky about planning a vacation to Japan to see the cherry blossoms. Is it's hard to know exactly when. You have to book things, so far in advance, and there's a very good chance that you could not guess correctly and then be stuck either seeing the end or the very beginning. So yeah, that's always a problem. And so now all of the the tourists are in full force. All of the Starbucks are full of backpackers and all that good stuff. Yeah, because it seems like a lot of Western tourists come to Japan, for kind of the nature, the small mountains and hiking and things, and the Asian tourists just come here for all the luxury, luxury shopping and luxury goods and hotels and things. So it's very funny to see those differences. All right, I don't know what that is, but let's try something else here. So I'm just trying to get warmed up, and I think it's going okay. The computer, when I was opening things up, it was really slow. I need to do a little hard drive purging and get rid of some junk files. I'm doing a lot of video editing lately, so files are getting bigger and bigger. And that's the one thing I use, Audacity, that free software for editing audio. And it's a nice program, especially for free, but it makes gigantic files. So like an hour of audio in the native Audacity form can be 2 or 3 gigs, the file size on your disk, and that's a little excessive. I guess it maintains everything. Whoa. You can go back to previous versions and previous edits and things, but that's a lot of space. So once you get a couple hundred of those on your hard drive plus video, which is always a lot more, yeah, it gets a little bit excessive. So yeah, let's just keep going here. But yeah, so I got to go through and see if there's anything I can get rid of to make things faster, because I've got a little bit of a slowdown, I think, because of available space. But yeah, so people are getting ready for all the Hanami parties. So there's people go to the parks usually, spread out a big plastic tarp and sometimes barbecue, and then just drink under the cherry trees with their friends. So there's a lot of parks that have kind of heavy ceilings of trees, and you get, once you get into the middle of the season, they start dropping the petals, so you've got this carpet of pink petals and still this light coming through these very light pink white petaled trees. So it's very beautiful, and it's a very strange light. There's a few parks where if you walk in around it at the right time and it's a nice sunny day, the light is just strange. It's like being inside of a parachute or something. It's very odd. So that's a very unique thing. And there's even, if the moon is bright enough, there's even, viewing cherry blossoms at night by moonlight, and that's beautiful too because it's almost silvery, very ethereal, otherworldly feeling if you can get the right situation. But when we had a lot of cherry trees in front of the house, we would get hit so often with those springs where as soon as the trees were in bloom, there would be these horrible rainstorms and this wind that would just strip all the petals and all the blossoms off the trees, and you just have cherry blossoms just plastered to the ground with heavy rain, and stripped off the trees with the wind, and then plastered to the ground with heavy rain. So there were a few springs like that were a little bit depressing because there were only a couple of days, maybe much less than a week of actually something that looked beautiful, and then very quickly it was just bare trees again, waiting for those leaves to come through. Not sure what that is. All right, but yeah, I don't have anything in mind here, so I'm just kind of trying to warm up a bit and see if I come up with anything. So maybe one of those long rambly ones. But yeah, and I was using super glue yesterday, and I think I'm not paying enough attention with the fumes, and I always get a really irritated nose after doing too much work with super glue. And yeah, the fumes are pretty bad. There might be like a low fume. I should probably try to find another brand. The one I'm using now is quick drying, so I like how that works. But wow, I always feel, how they use they'll use that glue to lift fingerprints and stuff. Like it will stick to like if you put an object in a closed, maybe it has to be a vacuum. In a vacuum with super glue, the fumes themselves will solidify in the little oily marks of fingerprints. So that must be what's happening to me. It's just going, the fumes are just like attacking my nose. And I don't feel it at the time, but then like that night or the next day, I'll notice that, I'm very, irritated. It feels like allergies almost, but I think it's just I think it's just getting too much of that. And it's not like a, like a rubber cement kind of fumes where you get high. I think it's just like literally like, very small quantities of glue are just adhering to my nose, and that feels miserable the next day. And you get real sensitive. And now, now that it's pollen allergy season here, you get really sensitive to dust and everything. So that's lots of fun. Anyhow, yeah, I guess the older I get, the more anything I say is just going to be complaining about my health condition. Did I tell you about my elbow? Didn't I? Yeah. Can't wait for that. I'll just want medical advice on chat in a few years. Ugh. Yeah. So, there's not really anything. Been just really depressed by all the game news coming out recently. Google did their big announcement at GDC, the Game Developers Conference, about their new streaming platform. Yeah. So, yeah, they just want to take everything away from everybody. The same way Amazon is like attacking retail. They're trying to come up with a solution, like an undeniable, technology that people have to adopt, and that will destroy everything that exists. So, if this does work, that means no consoles, PC gaming will all be, what's that called? Everything's gonna be on cloud. Everything's gonna be, so you're basically you can use any kind of dummy terminal. So anything that will run Chrome will stream things off of the Google servers. And I forget, they were talking about that kind of computing probably like 10 years ago, where nothing is local. You have no local hard drive except to run whatever operating system, and that everything is remote. And so it saves, everything can be backed up, and it makes controlling, viruses and corruption, and also, what people are doing on their computers a lot more controllable, because no one's going to install something that you don't know about, that you can't monitor. And I forget what they were calling that, but it's kind of like you just have a dumb terminal that's not even a PC, and it doesn't exist unless it's connected into the network. And so that's what they're trying to do with gaming, is just give you access to gaming through all kinds of dumb, cheaper devices that aren't made for gaming, and then have you use, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB, whatever controllers then to connect to games. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like a hard sell. They only have a few developers and a few games right now, but they're going to do exclusives and try to get people to find that killer app, the Minecraft or Fortnite or whatever, that's going to get people to adopt that. But it's going to be so disruptive. It's kind of like electric cars almost. It's going to be so disruptive to the ecosystem that's already been established with PC games and console games, that there's going to be a lot of resistance, and there's going to be a lot of, I don't know. And hopefully it'll just be good for developers. It'll just mean developers can get better deals and make more money, because there's going to be, two sides courting them, which is the other depressing news, is listening to all the talk about the Epic Game Store. So Epic's the people that make Fortnite, and they did some early mobile games that were kind of popular, and I forget what else. I know I've played some things by them, but their big hit right now is Fortnite. But the thing that really is really no good about Epic is they're not majority owned, but they're like 40% owned by Tencent, the Chinese game company. So that's why they've got such deep pockets, and that's why they're going to make such bad decisions, and that's why I think the tone and a lot of the content of their games is such garbage. This Fortnite is just trash, it's just filled with garbage. I don't know, that the tone is just, I've noticed that with a lot of mobile games recently, especially ads for mobile games, is they've got this like aesthetic and sensibility that's just like, it's like a cheap cheeseball version of like 90s hip-hop or something. It's very odd. It's like whatever these Chinese the Chinese view of what's cool or what's funny or whatever about the West is really weird and insulting. And so you're seeing a lot of that, this like really cheeseball goofy aesthetic, but it has this like hip-hop style to it. So I don't even know what that is. But that's becoming a more and more prevalent, and I think Fortnite's got a lot of that kind of garbage. It's a weird mishmash of like internet trash culture and like just weird like almost mistranslations or miscommunications of like Western pop culture stuff. It's very odd, but that's the future. So Epic is throwing big money and getting a lot of people. They're giving, supposedly giving developers a bigger piece if they sell their games only on the Epic Store, which might be good for small developers. But if their store doesn't work very well, it's not going to be good for anybody. But the whole thing right now is just like one of those ugly grabs. I mean, hopefully the competition will make Steam a little bit more aggressive, and they won't sit, because they've been such a monopoly for so long. Unless you like old PC games, they've been such a monopoly for such a long time, and everyone's that plays PC games has a shameful library, has a shameful Steam library of things I've never even installed. And yeah, it's weird. So the thing right away that I don't know what that is. The thing right away that was kind of a warning sign about Epic is their so it's basically going to be like another, not installer, but it's another what is that, like a portal, like a launcher? Yeah, like a launcher for games. So before you launch a game, that software opens. So like when you launch a game on Steam, first Steam opens and it updates and connects, and then the game launches because it checks whether you own it or whatever. Does its little DRM thing. And so now they've got an Epic. None of that is going well. They've got an Epic Games version of that, which is of course very early and very buggy. But the warning flag that kind of came up with it is that they immediately said, well, 40% of the people that have installed the Epic launcher don't even have Steam installed on their system. And people said, well, how do they know that? It's because they are accessing your Steam account. Basically, you give them permission to look at your Steam install when you install Epic. And, of course, they're doing it for competition. They're going to see, what's going on, like how much resources, how many games you install. They're just like, how many friends you have. Like they're trying to figure out their approach by taking a look at what Steam's doing, and they're doing that by hiding in the ULA their ability to take a look at what's going on Steam. And so you basically got spyware for against Steam for Epic on your system, and that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't think I have much more. What is that? I feel much more concern or allegiance to the GOG.com because of the the way they're keeping older games still playable and don't do DRM and are basically CD Projekt Red. So I feel better about supporting them than either of those two ridiculous companies. But Steam has already insinuated itself with Half-Life 2. It already insinuated itself into everybody's life just because the people wanted to play that game. So I guess the same thing now is happening with games that Epic, things are not going well. Things that Epic can get exclusive. But it's weird that they are making exclusive deals with like people that are crowdfunding and people that have promised Steam keys and then saying, oh, well, actually it's going to be Epic exclusive now. It's very strange. I know this may not be interesting to much of anybody, but it's just really depressing. Like we're seeing a change coming, kind of people are trying to shift things, and it's shifting things away from physical copies, control of what you want to be doing, how and when and where you want to use things. And things like hacking games, like cheat mods and things would disappear if the kind of business model and industry changes. But at the same time, the modding community may disappear because if they're not compensated well, or at least given some attention, that's not going to happen. And there are so many games that without that community, there are so many things that have been fixed that the original developer hasn't fixed that modding does. And so that's a nice thing. The what's that called on Steam? The Steam Workshop or whatever. Yeah, you can access a lot of stuff and fix some bugs and some visual things and in games that never would have been fixed by the original developer. But I don't know. We'll see. But every change sounds terrible now. I guess I'm getting to that age where why can't things just be like they were? And that's not good. But I don't know. I think both I think having China too deep involved in anything means everything's going to have microtransactions in it, because they see how well that model works for mobile. And so if you get a lot of that involvement, a lot of that money becoming involved in PC or console games, then everything's going to go that way. And yeah, it's just going to be this trash, this whole weird trash culture that will make games even an uglier pastime than they were before. It's funny because I don't really play things that much anymore, so maybe I should just give up paying attention and complaining about it. But yeah, it's funny. Funny thing. Wow, I talked about Spring for like 2 minutes and then games. But I really think the Google thing is ridiculous. I think companies being that big and being able to throw that much weight around to attempt to just dismantle a whole infrastructure only for their advantage, not to really help anybody, is just miserable. It's really bad that they're in that situation, that like the Amazon Go shops, basically if they create that cashierless retail, everyone's going to have to go to them, even for their brick and mortar stores then, to use their kind of infrastructure, their back end to run that sort of thing, because once people get addicted to that convenience. So that was the thing. I was hearing somebody kind of complaining about that. That's that weird Silicon Valley approach, is to just kind of insinuate yourself into a traditional, like Uber or Airbnb or whatever, insinuate yourself into a model or a system that's existed for a long time and people have certain ideas about, and try to innovate it in a certain way, but then all you're basically doing is trying to replace it. So it may be, likely that these things actually, Uber just kills off taxi companies in different countries and then just becomes the taxi company, and then they just like, well, I guess it's that Walmart model of just get in there, wear down that original system and just take it over, just that body snatchers kind of thing. And people would just go along with it because everyone thinks it's fun to try out these new things and take an Uber and do whatever, and then not realizing what that's doing to older existing structures. And those things exist for a reason. I mean, I'm really, that's one thing that that kind of digital age in Silicon Valley set that weird mentality that they think they can do everything better, and they're just proving that they can't, that all they're going to do is create bizarre hierarchies, a bizarre digital class system, and just make people miserable. Because I can't even imagine, this new Google system can't possibly work well for people that are serious about games, that want 60 frames per second, 4K, gaming as just a standard. They can't reliably give that to people, so they're going to lose that hardcore base, and especially the people that want to have total control and have the game local, they'll lose that. So what they're going for, like this more casual level of gamers, and most of them, I mean, I don't know what, there is this like weird mysterious like casual but too much a lot of disposable income, but not really serious about anything kind of people. And is that the customer base? I guess it probably is, because those are the people that subscribe to things and buy something as a service, will pay a monthly fee for something just without even thinking about it, and then don't even ever consider canceling it or doing anything about it. So maybe they've just realized that those are the people that you have to go after, the lapsed gamers now with lots of credit cards to throw at monthly subscriptions, services that they'll just pay for without even using. That's the perfect model, is just get people to pay for something because it looks interesting, and then like going to the gym, they stop going to the gym and you still pay monthly. I don't know, that's a weird business model, weird thing that seems to be approaching. None of this stuff is very interesting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but Oh, I hope somebody, aside from these big companies, benefits from. Oh, sorry, benefits from this. It's really not good. Okay, so what am I doing here? Oh, I kind of like this. Should get back in here. Get my pen to the right thickness. Yeah, but it's just all depressing. I mean, it's even when I first came to Japan, I was really enjoying, scavenging for old used game consoles, like cartridge-based stuff, and there was so much of it, and it kind of pretty quickly happened. Like once eBay, got its act together, and I guess they bought PayPal or PayPal bought them or whatever, and they got all their payments and fraud locked up, and then started to become available internationally, and then that was it. You couldn't find anything decent anymore because people just grabbed everything up and put it online, and so there was no point in looking at used anything anymore. Even junk shops, people just raided them and put everything online. So that happened in Japan. Probably most of the foreigners doing that as their income. But that was sad. So a lot of the resale stores and stuff here are just overpriced and mostly just garbage, and everything else is being traded online. But that stuff just doesn't exist anymore. There was so much great old Saturn and Dreamcast, and even the old Super Nintendo and Nintendo cartridges. Oh, so sorry. Ugh. So much great stuff to find and go through, and just so quickly it just ended. That whole thing just went away. Okay, these guys, let's put them. There's got to be a way to drag without doing this, but oh well. All right. Okay, sorry. We held up for a minute here. All right, so let's put this back in the tab. All right. Yeah, so I was thinking about lunch and breakfast having a moment. Yeah, I think that works. Yeah, I think I'm making stuff too big. I do like that kind of small. I guess, though, this is a deceiving size because when I do shrink it down to like 640 by 400, which I think is my webcomic dimensions, it's pretty tiny. So it's more like this. So I guess I don't want to make things too small so you can actually identify. So I'm going to have breakfast and lunch having a moment. Let's see. How badly is this drawn? I don't know. I think I'll do it like that. Oh, actually, I think maybe like this might be more fun. Yeah. Something like that. I like how that fits together better. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So that may be one. Oh, what am I rambling about? Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, I think the only thing good about what's happening with a lot of new technologies and business models and stuff is at least we have a couple of different countries and cultures and the EU and Asia and things to take a look at something and not accept it or want it changed, want it to fit their thinking. So we at least have a little bit of people looking at something and say, well, maybe we shouldn't do this, or maybe we shouldn't go this far, maybe we shouldn't let things happen this way, because people are upset about a lot of the legal changes if it means it's going to affect YouTube or something in their country. But you really need that kind of checks and balance of other people looking at this and saying that's too much, giving up too much privacy, or that doesn't make sense legally to our, in our idea of, how we should treat consumers, or how we protect, people's, whatever, their privacy, or their, whatever, their right to do whatever. But, yeah, so I think that's the only thing kind of protecting a lot of these companies from just running away with it. Because if they could just impose American-style nonsense everywhere, which they're trying to do. I mean, when companies like Uber and, Airbnb move in, there, it is just like that's an American aesthetic that's being imposed, in a foreign country. And, yeah, they're just supposed to accept it because these companies want to make money. Ugh. Yeah, but I don't know, and I've complained often about how I hate that that arrogant, well, we're doing good things for the world, we're making the world a better place. By whose definition? Oh, there's so much garbage in here. By whose definition, better according to whom? So, yeah, I don't know. That is just a mess. I do not want to put that anywhere. Okay, let's keep drawing. Ooh. Okay. Whew. Yeah, maybe not enough oxygen last night. I'm just exhausted. I slept enough, but just feel exhausted. Weird. Maybe it was my glued up nose. Oh. Sorry, I'll keep an eye on chat too to make sure I'm not missing anything. I still have to get the chat set up again so that it shows up on the screen. Had that working for a while, but it doesn't seem to be there anymore. Oh, well, hello, YouTube. Yeah, got some people on YouTube. Okay, so I will pay attention, and yeah, I'll get the chat set up again. I tried to use the Streamlabs version of OBS, the streaming software, and they've got a lot of, it's easier, more modular, and you can add all of the Streamlabs stuff very easily into your stream. It seems a little heavy resource-wise because I was having a lot of trouble running it and running a game at the same time. And then you also can only run to either YouTube or Twitch one at a time, and I'm trying to do the restream thing, so I'm going to both, and it doesn't have an option for that yet. Maybe I didn't look enough into it, but it's a shame. I'd really like to do Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, because this is not gaming, and it would be something that would work, I think, well, and all of that. And I need to fix my Twitch tags too. I think that's the reason my Twitch is so dead. It's because I don't have good tags. There are a lot of tags for what I'm doing, digital art and live drawing and all that stuff, and I don't have that. So I need to get my tags fixed, and maybe people can actually discover me. Okay. I gotta stop drawing boxes. I'm not doing very well today with boxes. Oh. But, so what else is going on besides the end of the gaming world as we know it? Oh, boy. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, I had a weird, with the other podcast, with the Idle Red Hens podcast, I had a weird thing happen. Drawing boxes again. It got delisted by iTunes, and I'm not sure if iTunes has made some change recently, because it's not the same interface, and I had to kind of create this, or go in with my Apple account and create this whole other submission for it, but I guess it had trouble accessing the RSS and just deleted it and just sent me notification. But then it was really difficult to get it resubmitted and accepted again. So I don't know if that's a new thing because I can't seem to get to iTunes through a browser. It keeps telling me to open the software, and I don't have an iPod anymore, so I have no use for that software, so I don't really want to install that just to check and see if the podcast is listed. So yeah, it's very bizarre. I don't know exactly what's going on, but they seem to be resetting something. It seems to be working now, but I had noticed that our numbers were going down. So I'm not sure if that's a server issue on our end or if iTunes was just being, if we had actually been not coming up on iTunes for a while. Because that means that anybody that had subscribed to us through that wasn't, probably even getting notifications or anything about new episodes. So they thought maybe we just died. And I'm still drawing boxes. But yeah, so that was that was surprising. But that's just been endless with everything. Google is constantly changing things and making things odd. I think when we wanted to do the name, like Auto Red Hands, youtube.com/AutoRedHands, to secure that, you needed a Google Plus account. And Google Plus, like when I set that up, Google Plus was like a month from disappearing. So I'm like, wait, I have to get followers on Google Plus to secure my name on YouTube. Whatever. Yeah, it was really bizarre. That stuff is just nonsense. And I think as the advertising, as they try to get a better hold on their advertising and control their content by controlling who they're, paying money to, they seem to be doing some weird things. I'm still drawing boxes. Seem to be doing some weird things and just constantly changing, changing how everything works. So it's very cat and mouse, which is no fun. That's the worst part, I think, of the internet is, people trying to get into your site. You're constantly having to update and make sure security is keeping people out. And then as other technologies keep changing, you just have to, it should be like there. Stop it with the boxes. Okay. No more. I don't have anything else in my head, though. I guess when I don't have any ideas, that's when I'm drawing boxes. Okay. Oh. There we go. How about bears? That's not a box. Yeah, I haven't done the back of a bear in a while. That's right. Let's try that. So, actually, as much as I love that line, that doesn't need to be there. Oh. I wonder if teddy bears are still a thing. Kids are still carry around bears. I think they have, of course, still have plenty of plush animals, but I don't see teddy bears so much. I don't think my younger daughter even ever had a bear. It was always something else, a cat or a dog or something. Well, it's not a box. Jeez. Yeah, I think my finger is still making me a little stiff. Oof. It's all healed up, so no more bandage. That was weird when the adhesive from the bandage was sticking to the screen. That was unpleasant. Oh, maybe just do one this way. Yeah, this arm is nice. I can't believe how strong it is. The arm I have my tablet on, because I can really press on it and it doesn't move at all. I mean, compared to like mic stands and things where you put any pressure on it, just boom, it just, you know, slips on you. I'm really happy with how strong the grip is. Grr. I should probably break the break here so that it look at least a little bit more similar. There we go. Kind of. Not like this. But okay, so once I stop drawing boxes, I can probably come up with something a little bit else. Okay, so kind of a batteries required thing. I think that'll work better. Okay, how about just the batteries? There we go. Huh. All right, I think I already have the stupid the stupid idea for this one anyhow. There's the tag, and I'm gonna cheat and put that in there so I at least remember. Oh, maybe make that bear a little squishier or something. Whoa. See if there's a chubbier version of him that I like more. Yeah, maybe that's better. Okay. There's the bear. All right, so let's put some color on these. Oh, all right. And I'll warn you now, the convenience store segment isn't as exciting as I hoped it would be. I've been having a lot of trouble recently finding something that's fun at the convenience store. I'm going to come up with, I think I'll just do some weird fantasy colors for these batteries. But yeah, the convenience store has been disappointing lately. And I'm really having trouble. It's kind of a weird thing because I can't, I don't have good foreigner's eyes anymore when I look at that stuff and try to figure out what would be interesting for somebody to see that doesn't go into these places every day. Not every day, but go into these places often. And, you know, what would stand out, what would be interesting. And I'm not doing that very well anymore. Because I hit a lot of the big stuff, and now when I go in there, I'm just like, don't know. But I'll keep at it because there's got to be. I'll hit something that will re-inspire me. Maybe this too, just to make sure that comes across. So these are store brand batteries, right? I don't know what store this is, but there we go. I usually do Duracell looking batteries, but because the bear is so brown, I don't think copper is going to be very exciting. Let me see if that brown looks kind of weird to me. A little more orange. Yeah, there we go. That yellowy brown was not doing me any good. All right. Let's see this chubby little bear look more three-dimensional. Let's see, this whole thing can be. Yeah, that's a little much. Okay. Is that, yeah, okay. All right, let's see how this shows up. Oh, that kind of works. Yeah. Kind of try to do some little texturing on the bear. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then the batteries. Get the metallic look. All right. There is the bear. And that's the wrong layer. See if that works. Yeah, I don't think I need that. Bum, bum. That'll work. Okay, there's the back of a bear. Yeah, I think I've got him kind of fuzzy enough. Maybe bring this up a little bit. I guess it could be fuzzy in the negative way as well. Huh. Let's see how that reads. All right. So there's a bear in his batteries, and then the moment. Oh, I lost my color layer. The moment of breakfast. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh, let's make that quiet. Sorry, just a second. Okay. Wow, we've been almost doing this for an hour. Okay. Yeah, I think that and the paper bag. It's got to be maybe warm it up a little bit so it's different. Yeah, that brown color is. Yeah, I think that's it. Not easy to get right, and then I'll do a different cardboard color, more gray. Okay. Oop, that guy. All right. All right, so if I close this off, we've got that. All right, that works. And that nutrition information panel on the side here. I haven't seen cereal boxes in a while. I wonder if they still try to put as much to read on there as they did before. Looking at a cereal box while you're eating was always a... That's it as far as color. I guess I want to do something more lively. Whoops. Okay. And then maybe something like green. This should probably be its own layer too. There we go. Then I can just take that down a little bit. Okay. Oof. Yeah, things are getting slow again here. Let's take a look at this PC again. It definitely needs some upgrading, but it works well enough for drawing. But it's but video editing and definitely streaming games and things, it could definitely use some updates. Okay, so like this, maybe this, and then here. Oops. A bit of this. There we go. There we go. I hope I've got that bag going okay. Oh, and I didn't do the eyes on the other cartoon. Let's see here. There we go. Oh, okay. So that works, I think. And with it, you do some. Ooh, there we go. Some eyes. Oh yeah, I was thinking about writing the name on the bag. I don't think that's a thing anymore, but I do remember that. Let's see if I can do something. Ooh, it's a little thick. There we go. Steve, let me change that so it looks like more like marker burnt in. Steve's lunch. Oh. Whew. All right, so there's one. Oh, we're coming up on something not very exciting. I don't know what if I like that. I'm getting weird glare. I guess that's a bare enough color. But I didn't put the eyes. So let's do that. batteries. Oops. Oh, that's cool. It keeps a different palette between files. Is that... Where's the funnier? Maybe here? Okay. I'm not going to be able to figure out how to make that funny. I can already tell. That idea is not good. Damn. All right. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for hanging in there. And so everything's colored, and I just need to write it. So we have breakfast, and we have bears and batteries. All right, so the moment you've all been waiting for, or possibly not. All right, convenience store time. So, as I was saying, I haven't had a great deal of luck being very inspired. I don't want to bring alcohol. I don't know. I don't want to do, because I mean, I guess it'd be fun. There's a lot of, especially the convenience stores, a lot of strange Japanese alcohol. But for some reason, I haven't wanted to bring alcohol in the stream. I wanted to keep it all ages, but maybe eventually that's going to have to go away. But for today, I present to you giant corn. So this is a snack, kind of a bar snack, and I just thought it was interesting because Japan's relationship with corn is a little bit odd. Corn has been here forever, since like the 1600s, late 1500s, from the Portuguese, but they brought South American corn, and so it's the hard corn that you have to grind, you have to mill into something to make cornmeal and for things, and it never really took off. And even ever since the early 19th century, it was grown in Japan, but not ever made that popular. But now, if you come to Japan, and I think since the 1950s, they said that Hokkaido made a big move to grow a lot of corn, to move towards agriculture and big production in Hokkaido, and moved to producing a lot of corn. And I think a lot of that, some of that is for feed for cattle, for the Japanese beef industry, although I think they still import a lot from America. But there is corn, especially sweet corn. So sweet corn grown in Hokkaido is omnipresent in Japan. It's on pizza. There's corn soup. There's just everything has corn on it. It's just this really common thing. And so things like this, like corn snacks. And I suspect there's a couple of things that made me suspect that this actually came to Japan via Korea. So this is actually, a Japanese company making a corn snack, and the actual corn itself, I think, is from Peru. But the thing that makes me think that this came to Japan from Korea, because in Korea they have things like corn tea, and corn is adopted in a little bit different ways, but these are spicy. So it's puffed corn. I'll see if I can show you here. It's big kernels made by the great Inaba company. It's spicy. So it's giant corn puffed. So you can kind of still see it's like the shape of a kernel. It's a giant corn, kind of not quite puffed like the cereal, corn, but that's a big kernel of corn, and very crunchy. It's really good. It's very nutty, kind of like the crunchiness. It's a real satisfying bar snack. Yeah, it's like a Frito or like a corn chip consistency, but it's a little bit spicy. So it's very corny, very, very corny flavor. The corn is corny, but it's also got a little bit of spicy too, and it's salty too. So it's a good bar snack because it makes you thirsty, makes you drink more. But yeah, it's a cleaner, more kind of fresh corn taste than a corn chip, because it's not as processed. But yeah, sorry, that might be really loud on the mic. I should be watching my levels. But a little bit spicy, and that's why I think it may have more of a Korean origin, because there's a lot, Korean food and everything is a lot spicier than Japanese food and has a lot more flavors, and they use corn a little differently, but it's really good. It's really addictive. As you see, I can't stop eating this. But yeah, so this is very large Peruvian corn that they dry and puff into there's crunchy corn snack. But you see this everywhere. There's a lot of big corn. This is giant corn. There's a lot of big corn puff snacks everywhere, and you can get them as at bars and things. As a snack that goes with alcohol. There's a lot of that in Japan. Actually, that should be maybe a good thing to run through. Is all the okaki kind of things that, you know, the spicy peanuts and things. There's a lot of things that are salty and spicy that you have at a bar because it makes you drink more beer and drinks. But giant corn is something that's definitely worth looking for. It's a good snack and very it's kind of a familiar flavor of, like, if you've had corn chips. I mean, basically it tastes a lot like less processed Fritos, and it's good. And also corn tea, if you have a chance. It's kind of rare, but if you and it'll always be written. I think there is kanji for corn, but most of the time you just see corn and corn. It's just in katakana. But there is kanji for corn, and but I think they stopped using it because it's a little derogatory. Like, the origin of it was some of it came from the Chinese, and I think they got rid of that, and then they just basically just started calling it corn all the time, because especially like corn soup and things, they just write it in katakana because the name that it got when it was early adoption, like 500 years ago or whatever, from China and from the Portuguese, was kind of like the southern savages meal or whatever, so very racist and derogatory. China? No. But anyhow, giant corn. Yeah, it's well worth it. And so it's not puffed. It's not a puffed snack like the those. If you go back last year, the umaibo, that big puffed corn, kind of like a Cheeto. It's not like that. It's much more just like a large kernel of corn that's been made very crunchy. And much more satisfying as a snack. So keep an eye out for some giant corn, and look out for corn everywhere in Japan. You will find it in the most unlikely places. Every salad, they'll try to hide it in every pizza. It's just, if something sounds good, they might add corn to it. So keep an eye on it. I think it's a little sweet. Oh, sweet corn. It's a little sweet and visually interesting. So I think Japan just loves to put corn on everything. And you can get pretty good, corn on the cob, and they'll take a slice of corn and roast that sometimes, which is pretty good. But Japan loves corn, surprisingly, and there's a lot of it here. So keep an eye out for giant corn, and be aware that there will be corn in everything if you visit Japan. All right, let's do some writing. Oh, okay. So Steve and his lunch. So my idea here was every morning she shared a moment. Oh, no. Every morning, lunch, breakfast, and lunch. Shared a moment. But it's a different lunch every day. Where's my cursor? Come on. I get two monitors, and sometimes that's not a good thing. All right, let's get this out of here. Come on, Squiggle. Get out of here. Come on. There we go. Okay, every morning, breakfast and lunch, shared a moment. Okay. I think that's as far as that's going to go. And actually, I want to write here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Yeah, because I want it to be kind of sad and silly and weird, so Yeah, for a moment, breakfast and lunch sat together on the kitchen table there. And the lunch is for Steve. All right, now this is the one that I'm not going to be able to write. Okay, so the idea is maybe it's a talking bear, but the bear won't talk to them because it needs the batteries for it to talk, but the talking of that bear is not the real bear's talking, because if it's an animate object, and if it's got little eyes on its rear end there, then it is actually, could talk to them without the batteries. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a way to make this funny. The talking part. Yeah, so what's going on? There's something here. As soon as I drew the bear, then that popped into my head. It's like, oh yeah, all of those plush, or a lot of the expensive plush stuff, like giggles and laughs and talks and stuff. And what's the relationship with the batteries? The batteries felt he was pretending to not be able to talk without them. Is that it? Let's see. The batteries felt he was pretending to not be able to talk without them. No, I don't know. Okay, so the idea is, okay, the batteries felt he was pretending. So, yeah, I don't know. Something. Yeah, I like the giant batteries, aren't they? I just like the idea of yeah, the fake talking. All right. The batteries felt he was pretending to not be able to talk. Pretending to not be able to talk without them. He was only pretending. Huh. Wow, things are moving really slow. He was only pretending to. He was only pretending to not be able to talk without them. Yeah, so I don't want to say is anything about like his voice being different or something. That might be funny, but maybe not. Center that a little bit more. The batteries felt he was only pretending to not be able to talk without them. Huh. He was only pretending. Let's not quite getting across the idea of him. The batteries make the toy itself say something. Yeah, they were surprised how different his voice was. To be unable, to be unable may be better. The batteries felt he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. Yeah, that not to be unable. Whoa, sorry. The batteries felt he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. I don't know. I don't know if that's if I'm blowing an opportunity here for something much funnier. The batteries felt he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. Batteries knew. Yeah, maybe knew he was. Yeah, I think knew is better. Knew he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. I don't know. Where else can this go? Yeah, because I don't want to do inside or inserting or whatever with batteries, because it's going to get weirdly sexual, and I don't think that's going to be very as funny. The batteries knew he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. Yeah, I think. Oops. Sorry, I want to get rid of something here. It's a little heavy. And those other ones are a little light. Let me see. Oof. Okay, that's better. The batteries knew he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. I guess that's close. I don't think I'm gonna get any closer to where close to a funnier thing than that. Batteries knew he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. Yeah, okay. That's gonna be the thing. That's gonna do it. All right. Okay, so for this week, we have breakfast and lunch. Every morning, breakfast and lunch shared a moment. So they had a little bit of that. And then the batteries knew he was only pretending to be unable to talk without them. That's not even a funny sentence. Pretending to be unable. Yes, and I want to redraw these eyes. Come here. They're kind of wonky looking. Wow, big. There we go. Let's see here. More like this. Yeah, that works. Okay, those are the two cartoons. So, Bears and Batteries and Breakfast and Lunch. Oh, all right. Well, thank you for joining me through this painful process. And I'll be back again next week. And hopefully I won't complain about things that nobody is interested in. But if you'd like to follow this cartoon, please follow it on Twitter at Abuse Cartoons, and then abusecartoons.com is the website. If you'd like to become a patron and actually keep things going as far as hopefully making this a daily cartoon again at some point, please visit patreon.com/abusecartoons. And thank you so much for the existing patrons. I'm really motivated and happy with the support. It gives me a lot. I mean, I just couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. And I will be back again next week, same time, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the schedule, I apologize for fluctuating between Sunday night and Monday night. It's all my unpredictable schedule, but I will try to be more regular, and hopefully see you again Sunday night or Monday day if you're in Asia. Okay, thank you so much, and I will see you again. Goodbye.